Captain America Brave New World is the latest entry into the MCU, and the fourth Captain America movie, and the first film to have Sam Wilson carrying the mantle of Captain America, following the Disney Plus show Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and also the Eternals, and the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. But yeah, I kinda think this movie basically has all of the problems that the current MCU is facing, which is pretty disappointing to see. And these are problems that we've seen since Endgame. Afterwards, the MCU felt pretty directionless. That movie had the highest stakes that we'd seen in the MCU so far, and the payoff was really strong. The film could have been a pretty solid send-off to the MCU, but I do think the MCU could have been strong afterward if they had done better planning. Instead, they've been fumbling in recent years, even having some of their biggest flops, like the Marvels or the Eternals. I think they were trying to raise the stakes again with the multiverse, but it just wasn't implemented as well as it could have been, along with the 5-year time skip making things pretty convoluted. Plus, while initially the movies leading into each other was one of the biggest draws of the MCU, at this point it kind of feels like homework. They really wanted to push Disney Plus, so they were making a lot of new content that fit into the MCU, which seemed like a good idea at the time, but a lot of these shows feel pretty drawn out, like they could have just been a movie instead of a 6-hour-long series, including Falcon and the Winter Soldier in my opinion. However, a lot of these shows are incorporated into the MCU movies, and on top of the Disney Plus shows feeling drawn out and maybe not that necessary, there are times where they're just not implemented well into the films. Like what happened with WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where despite it being a direct sequel to that show, because it wasn't finished yet, so basically they were rushing this out. But also, it's basically one of the most apt examples of the MCU slipping in quality, and all these factors really add up, to the point where it's not surprising the MCU is struggling as much as it is anymore. Also, making this film a follow-up to the Eternals, which was a pretty big flop, and a Hulk movie from 2008, which was almost 20 years ago, was a choice, and one that many agree probably wasn't the best choice. And after seeing the movie for myself, I'm pretty much in that same boat. As for the film itself, Sam's friend Isaiah, who we met in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is mind-controlled to attack the president. So he starts an investigation to get to the bottom of this. This is a fairly similar situation to what happened to Bucky, and I kind of think it would have been nice if they had given Sam a more original plot. Bucky does show up in the movie for a scene, but I think it would have been nice if he was more involved, especially since he relates to Isaiah in this case. Maybe he could have gone with Sam for the investigation. Instead, he's running for office, and I guess it's nice that he's moving on with his life, but I do think he's kind of underutilized as a character and a hero. Like, there's still potential for him in the story, but instead he gets to go be in politics. At least he's in Thunderbolts where he actually gets to do something, because he gets sidelined a lot. Anyway, they finally addressed the Celestial that's been sticking out of the Indian Ocean ever since the Eternals, which was back in 2021. And honestly, given the gravity of that situation, that really should have been addressed sooner. Instead, it just got a blink and you'll miss it mention in She-Hulk. I know the Eternals flopped at the box office, but this still should have been addressed sooner. In-universe, this was a really big deal, but they let that plot thread hang for too long. But it's revealed the Celestial is full of adamantium, which means that we're definitely getting the X-Men. But it also means that multiple nations want to control it, which would make sense. Adamantium is a very valuable resource, but also kind of contributes to the plot thread hanging for too long. So now the United States and Japan are in an arms race for it, so we get a lot of political drama with President Ross. This film actually takes a lot from the 2008 Hulk movie, like it's basically a direct sequel, despite the fact that it's a Captain America movie, but a lot of the elements and characters from that film appear here, to the point where I was wondering why Bruce Banner wasn't in the movie. They can't actually make a solo Hulk movie, due to a rights issue with Universal Studios, so they can only use Hulk and other properties, instead of as the main character. But he still could have at least been here. Instead, he doesn't even get a cameo, even though this movie was steeped in specifically Hulk lore. Another thing that confused me about this film is the fact that they basically used Red Hulk as a twist, despite the fact that it was marketed as the main draw of the film, which means Marvel spoiled their own movie. Even if you haven't seen the trailers, just walking into the theater you'll get spoiled, since it's literally on the poster. I feel like since they marketed the movie this way, they probably should have not used this as some kind of reveal. It really felt like they were trying to build hype around this, You know, like when they introduced Spider-Man for the first time in the MCU. It's not like he was a third act reveal. He was just a part of the story and it really worked. But there's a big difference between that and revealing him in the 11th hour. So I kind of feel like they just shouldn't have marketed the movie this way. In the end, it kind of came off like they weren't confident in this movie being able to stand alone. So they had to use the big monster fight to try to draw people in. But it just ended up lessening the impact of the reveal. At least when it comes to the actual movie watching experience. The next part of the review is going to have spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you might want to consider clicking off. I just have a few comments I want to make about Act 3, but in this movie they bring back Betty Ross, except I feel like she was really underutilized. Like when they talk down Red Hulk so he'll calm down and turn back into Ross, they have Sam be the one to do this, but I think Betty would have worked better considering the fact that she is his daughter, and that could have been a good character moment considering the fact that they were estranged, and they literally bring him to a place where he and Betty would go. It really felt like a missed opportunity. Again, I really think Bruce Banner should have been in this film, but they could have at least utilized the characters they did have in a more effective way. Just saying. On a positive note, I thought the performances were pretty good. It was more the writing and the script I had an issue with, but Harrison Ford did a good job, and I thought Anthony Mackie was pretty good with what he was given. On a side note, and I realize this is kind of a non sequitur, but I do wonder why they recast Thunderbolt Ross when his original actor passed away, but they didn't recast T'Challa when Chadwick Boseman passed away. Maybe it's because he was a smaller character, and I do get that it was Boseman who brought T'Challa to life in the first place, so I understand where Kevin Feige is coming from. I just think that there was a lot more potential with his character. But regardless, I thought Harrison Ford did a good job as Thunderbolt Ross. But overall, I thought Captain America Brave New World was just a huge mess. And definitely not the win that Marvel probably needs right now, as it pretty much suffered from all of Marvel's current shortcomings. At least they didn't have anyone justifying terrorists this time. That has to count for something.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
There were still people in there.
This is the only language these people understand.
Cool motive, still murder.
I think Fantastic Four being set in its own universe with its own unique style is for the best, and I also think it's a better use of the multiverse. Plus it's free from the rest of the MCU to just do its own thing. Hopefully these upcoming projects will be able to recapture that magic the MCU once had, because honestly this wasn't it. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy Captain America Brave New World? Or do you think it fell short? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching everyone, I really appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to the members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Equestron, Norman Sweetcream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Lucas Geist, J Draws, Meowsers, Sky, Philip, Isaac Martinez, Garcia XV Legend, Tobias Weller, Bandito Bane, Mac B909, Dakari the Professor, Todd McCaffrey, Omni Fair, General Bolivar, Cavalcoj, Strider Exile, Phil C, Killer Bomb, Owen Wildish, Slawa Saporiguez, Entwined Boot 301, Griffin of Might, Frankie Camarillo, Datadyne Executive, Caleb Nelson, and Crimson Phantom. Thank you for the support. And if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And that part's free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.